A record-breaking Memorial Day weekend. YouTube creators are taking over cinema. More Hunger Games castings, and so much more in this episode of Beyond the Screen. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Screen. I, as always, am your host today, Ryan Gum. I'm joined here with Jake Holtzclaw and Emily Keller, our wonderful director and co-hosts. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good.
Excellent.
Excellent. So tell me about your guys' weekend. What's going on in your lives? We always start the show by kind of doing something like a grounding exercise. Before we get into the box office, it's been a crazy week, especially. I like to bring us all down to earth. We've all had a great weekend. It's Memorial Day. Tell me what's going on.
Emily, you want to
Go
go
first,
first?
Jake.
Okay, fine. So first of all, grounding, going outside, not wearing shoes or socks. That's what grounding. We know a guy who does that. I took apart a crucial piece of the motorcycle that I now have to clean, and I watched Lilo and Stitch in theaters.
Tell us about it.
It sucked.
No.
Yeah, it was god awful. Do not waste your money. Like it was like $30 for two people, and we didn't even buy anything.
From 1 to 5 stars, where would you put it?
Like barely two. Not even. If I could do points, it would be like 1.5 to 8.
We can do 1.5 here.
Yeah.
Was it just because of the storyline, or was it animation, or the acting?
I would say, yeah. The animation was pretty good. Acting was okay because like I can assume that the actors know what they're doing. It's not, and I think it was just how they were told to act, probably. And then story was crap. But yeah, no. Something I keep sending Ryan all the Lilo and Stitch stuff I find on TikTok and things like that. And there was one guy who looked up all the writers on this Lilo and Stitch movie, and none of them really had any experience in writing.
Oh.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah, so like one of them was on a it wasn't a short film, but it was just like a super underground film that nobody had heard of, or maybe there's like a pod, a clique that knew of the film, but that's it. The other guy had nothing to his name on Letterboxd.
They got rid of Uncle Jumba. He's a villain,
Yeah,
right?
that too. So they villainized Jumba and made him kind of like a
No spoilers, by the way. Sorry.
Sorry. Well, they made him into more of like a spoiled, like preteen, like really smart, genius, spoiled preteen vibe instead of like an uncle, evil genius, like father figure to Stitch.
Yeah.
Whereas like in the TV shows and in the other movies where Jumba is that role. He is the father figure. He's somewhat evil sometimes, but he cares about family more. But now that like that's all gone away, people are saying it's like this isn't canon. This doesn't actually exist in the realm, in the verse, because there's a lot of Lilo and Stitch titles out there. I mean, there's more than 5.
Well, the whole show, and there's at least 2
Whether it's
movies. Yeah.
shows, like they had like strictly the TV show movies or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's tragic.
No, this one was bad, and it was rushed. It felt rushed, and it was still longer than the original.
How long was it?
I know it was longer than the original. It was
really?
Give or take 2 hours.
He's more than 2, right?
He's looking it up.
I am actively looking this up. And an hour 48. It felt much longer.
The first couldn't have been longer than 90, right? What were you saying, Emily?
I said that's a big problem if it like.
Yeah. How do you take a story that didn't feel rushed and make it rushed?
30.
What? How do you add 15 minutes and lose time?
Yeah, that's a story problem. That's a storyline problem.
So like the first part where he's like where it opens, where he's in this jar and they're like deciding his fate, and then to the point where he steals a police cruiser. Stitch steals one of those and then like goes to Hawaii or whatever. Like that was like bam, 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 bam. Like that's what it felt like. Like every single scene, and then they gone to like the big shark guy.
Yeah, that's
not in the movie. Not in the movie at all. And they just used like other characters and said the same lines.
And everybody who's seen Lilo and Stitch can see right through that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the same thing that happened with Five Nights at Freddy's, that they had all of these things happen, and the people that knew Five Nights at Freddy's could see right through those. But it would
Yeah.
just speed up the movie and speed up the storyline, and it was so visible.
Well, and save money. I mean, the less characters you have, the less CGI you have to use. You know,
Right.
the less you have to spend. So yeah, that is
It waters down the storyline. It's just really upsetting.
I've seen a lot of hate for it. I haven't seen it yet. I knew it was gonna. The second that we saw the omission of certain characters and the vilification of Jumba, they waited until less than 2 weeks before release to allow those things to slip, which was on purpose. And so, yeah, that is tragic, and I hate that, Jake, because if anyone's watched Beyond the Screen for longer than 2 episodes, they'll know that Jake is very passionate about Lilo and Stitch.
I'm
And
passionate about like the animated like childhood stuff from our childhood, I guess, like the
Yeah.
early 2000s. It's like doing a live action Toy Story and not having Buzz in it.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, why not?
Imagine you take out Zurg from Toy Story 2. He's just not there. You know,
Yeah.
like what are you gonna do?
Not watch it. I've learned my lesson.
So,
That's all.
Emily, what have you been up to before we go ahead and get on into our first segment?
Work.
Oh,
I'm working.
Lovely.
Working.
So,
But this upcoming weekend is my last weekend where I'm working, so I'm finishing that up. I won't have to work Memorial Day ever again, probably. Fingers crossed.
absolutely.
She's actually at
lovely.
work right now. That's her spot behind her.
Yeah. I
She
wish
never
my bed
leaves.
I wish my work had a bed in it. I wouldn't be working much.
So I've been doing great, guys. Thank you guys for asking. I was at
He
my
does that all the
I
time.
was at my family or my girlfriend's family's this past weekend. I got to see a screening of a short film from a collection of filmmakers, and one in particular who came up with the story. She's awesome. Shout out Sierra. We love you, Sierra. So that was fun. Got to network and do the fun stuff. But we got super off our schedule this morning because we got pushed back. We didn't get home. We're 2.5 hours from our home. We finally decided to hit the road. So everything was like, oh. So I'm sorry in advance if I seem a little lethargic. But with that being said, Emily, we're gonna go ahead and let you go. If you want to jump back in and have a few words, you shoot a message and I'll see it. But other than that, we'll talk to you later, and just me and Jake again. Thank you.
Farewell.
Man, it got quiet, huh?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, Emily. I'm just
She's
kidding.
loud.
She's down there giving me a thumbs up. Anyway, we'll go ahead and move right in. So I know we just spent the better part of 7 minutes just absolutely thrashing the new Lilo and Stitch movie. But it did a fantastic job this past weekend. It actually helped break records, if you can believe it or not. So Disney's live-action remake of the 2002 animated feature hit big with families over an extended 4-day holiday weekend. So the Dan Fleischer Camp directed flick earned $145.5 million over the 3-day traditional weekend and a projected $183 million over today's theaters when they close. So when you add that fourth day, it added almost another $40 million alone, which is insane. So when you add in the $158.7 million internationally that it had made in the same time span, it's made over $341 million, which is insane. Again, a Memorial Day record for a film that is apparently not very good. So this is also the second largest start to a 4-day opening weekend ever. This is just behind Black Panther from 2018. So as stated previously, the film benefited from pulling heavily from the family demographic and a great marketing campaign. Collectively, Disney spent around $200 million to produce and market, so almost earning back everything after 1 week, when again, this is something we haven't until last week, I think, or the week before. You have to take into account that these films split, or these production houses split with theaters, whatever they make. So not quite at the $200 million mark, but it's close when you split 341.7 in half. So they're almost back in the green with this, or the black. They're very close to being out of the red with this film after 1 weekend. So while the film has only earned a 68% from the tomato meter, audiences, they gave it a glowing review. I know everywhere I've seen online, it has been the opposite. Like from Jake, from everything I've seen when I just scroll, people are trashing this thing. I saw one clip from Zach Galifianakis, his voice as Jumba, and it did not fit. It felt weird. So I don't know, but I say again, CinemaScore exit polls gave it an A. That seems high.
That's crazy.
That seems
It's
really
not an
high.
A. It is. the editing on it alone was so fast paced. And it wasn't just like the first 30 minutes where they got Stitch to Earth. By the way, no frog scene when he gets hit by a truck. Not in it. He does
Oh,
get hit by a truck, but no frog. That frog is reoccurring, right?
okay. Yeah, yeah, I know.
Um, I don't know. I was really attached to that frog, but
It's just not
um,
the same without the
yeah.
frog.
So there's no guns, right?
Yeah.
Which they changed that back in the original. He originally had like blasters, and then they took his blasters away and just animated finger guns that he was pointing at the frog. And then
Oh,
now that
yeah.
scene's not even in it.
There was a lot from the original 2002 that got changed. I didn't even know the guns, but like the famous
Yeah,
one is like the plane at the end is now a spaceship because of 9/11. So,
right. And then there was when they were shooting up the house, it's no longer a gun there that blows up, or it is a gun that blows up, but they weren't like shooting the roof of the house. It was Jumba throwing dinner plates so hard they were going through the ceiling.
I never noticed that either. I
Yeah.
wonder, was it
So
all that from 9/11? All that change?
I mean, it probably helped that they had to go in and change that. They probably went ahead and changed all the guns
Yeah.
and blasters and
That
things,
does seem pretty violent. But like
among other things.
yeah. So,
But
sorry, go ahead, Jake.
I just the editing alone, like it felt very. I'm not the target audience anymore. So obviously, the short attention span. I mean, it just felt like what you'd said with another film you watched. It was just felt like it had no time to breathe.
Yeah.
So and it didn't. I mean, it was every boom, 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 boom. It was like every shot had to have like an action, and then that action was over, and then bam, another one. There was like it never let you sit with it. Also, they never mentioned Elvis. They never mentioned the
What?
yeah,
What?
like he had songs in the movie, like there were Elvis songs in it, but like no obsession
But
from
what about
Lilo.
when he puts his finger on the no? Okay, I don't know
Well,
why
he
that's the
doesn't play
final
the
straw.
guitar in it either.
I don't know why
He's
that's
not
the
dressed
final
up as Elvis.
straw, but that like ruined it for me a little
Yeah,
bit.
Stitch never dresses up as Elvis.
So we've talked a lot about Lilo and Stitch, but we'll go ahead and move on here. So while families are enjoying Lilo and Stitch, older audiences were turning out in droves for the 8th installment into the Mission Impossible franchise called The Final Reckoning. So I did not know this franchise was 29 years old. I did not realize it was that old.
I mean, I knew Tom Cruise was getting up there.
He's 62. Yeah, he's getting
Yeah.
he's getting there. He's still going. I mean, but the
They were
29-year-old
saying,
franchise. Sorry, go ahead. What?
uh, anyway, sorry, he's 62 years old, and they were saying that the plane scene that he did in this film was like it was probably one of the more dangerous ones because he started to like lose his grip or something.
He's
I don't
going
know.
to die.
Yeah, this was one of the ones that really put it in perspective for Tom Cruise, I think, because I had seen an interview, I think, or somebody was talking about it where Tom was like, it got, it was a little, yeah, worrisome.
Yeah, no. The 29-year-old franchise just set an opening weekend record. So I say that, I don't mean to just disregard. I say that to be like, is this even going to make like yes. Oh, yeah, my life is valuable. I've been doing this for a long time, but then the 8th film after almost 30 years sets the opening weekend record. Is that not incentive to just keep going?
Um, I mean,
We'll get to
if
that
he
record
thinks
in a second.
he can do it, right?
Sorry, what?
If he thinks he can do it, um,
But he's 62 years old.
I wouldn't. I personally would not. But just toss Glenn Powell in there and call it a day.
Yeah, the film earned 63 million over the traditional weekend and over 77 with the holiday, which again is an opening record for them. So you can argue that this is the best like opening they've ever had, not just in terms of money, but in terms of hype for the film, which is crazy because the last one was like received as meh. I don't remember the first part of this one ever really getting a lot of hype. Like I remember people talking about it, but not only did this film do great domestically, this film smashed overseas with a $127 million opening haul overseas. That gives it almost $200 million alone in its first weekend for the 8th film in 30 years. The film earned a Rotten Tomatoes score of 80% and an A- cinema score, which is still, I think I saw the Metacritic score was like a 68. So that's still lower than the first, was it Dead Reckoning or Final Reckoning, whatever the first one was called. So, that's odd.
Mm. I was looking up Glenn Powell, uh, and there is a Deadline article that debunks rumors that he's replacing Tom Cruise in the Mission Impossible franchise.
He'll die.
So me just throwing a name out there, and then I was like, oh wow, there's an article on this that he's not doing it, but like, oh wow, there's an article on what I was just coming up with, so I'm not alone.
That is a good question because you know now that with this film succeeding in such a way, they're going to continue.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be James Bond.
Is there going to,
Right.
yeah, I was about to say, are they going to replace Tom Cruise? I can't remember his character's name off the top of my head, but do you think they'll just keep going?
They will. Oh yeah.
But they got to have a new
not?
character, right? This isn't James Bond.
Well, this isn't. He's not Mission Impossible. The mission is impossible.
No, I know, but like that's the thing is that like the idea of like the service that they work for, because they're like in a very specific like they're I watched only a couple, so they're
Uh,
very like niche, can operate outside of the law type of like agency, and I don't think they're even in the CIA. They're just in the government. So
Yeah.
either way, there's room for it to continue. I just don't think it should be with, well, as long as Tom Cruise wants to go, they're going to let him go. And I would hate to not see him in that role, but also he's 62 years old. So a little, going down the line here, finishing third is Final Destination's Bloodline from New Line and Warner Brothers. The bloody thriller earned over 19 million with the traditional weekend and over 24 million with the holiday. While maybe not on par with the two new releases that finished above it, these are still crazy numbers regardless. So the film thus far in 2 weeks has earned 187 million worldwide. And this is another one. This is the sixth film in this franchise. So we're seeing a lot of sustainability with these franchises here, especially as we get into the summer season for the box office. Finishing fourth is Thunderbolts. So the superhero film grabbed 9.5 million over the 3-day and an estimated 12 with the holiday. Over 4 weeks, the film has grossed 353 million worldwide. That's been a month in theaters, and that is still not quite where they want to be. I feel like a lot of people put too much and we've done it too. I mean, we're guilty of it just as much. Putting too much like success or not success on money, and that's just what the society we live in. Sometimes with films, you see them make 30 million, and you're like, whoa! Like A24 makes 30 million off of a film, or Neon, and they're absolutely swimming. But Disney, they spend 200 million a pop, so 353 million split into two with theaters is not enough for them. And that's what I only bring that up. It's not even in the notes, but that's all I kept seeing with this film was it almost grossed 400 million and it's still not enough. And I just, I'm not going to say poor Disney. Finishing fifth is Sinners, the beloved vampire flick from Warner Brothers and Ryan Coogler. Through Monday, the film has an estimated pull, of 11.2 million. This brings the film's overall global earnings to 339 million after 6 weeks. And this is exactly my point. The reason I say that is because 353 million for 2 weeks, or for 4 weeks, sorry, for Thunderbolts is not great, but for Sinners, it's fantastic after 6 weeks. So, anywho, Jake, any thoughts before we get into our quick notes here?
The Last Rodeo without a distributor with McDonough, Neil McDonough.
Oh, yeah.
Basically just him shirtless with a cowboy hat, and he's got to like avenge his grandson.
My girlfriend's family was talking about that one. They were like, that looks
To
good.
save his grandson, a retired rodeo star enters a high-stakes bull riding competition. Along the way, he confronts his past, discovers faith, and proves that courage lies in family.
That sounds...
It sounds like something my buddies would be into at work.
Bro, you gonna go watch The Last Rodeo?
And then I'll get him, and it's like, dude, I know Neil McDonough was shirtless in that. Did you enjoy that part?
Like, no. Yeah, I could hear it now. Yeah. Hey, blue collar. We love our blue collar viewers. Yeah. I will say
Family.
Friendship, Paul Rudd and Tim Robinson, didn't that finish 6th or is it 7th? That's
Well,
right.
it's all up in the air because today is still the
Oh,
day
yeah, that's
they
right.
count money, but it is 7th, right below that. But and it is close. It's within 4 or 600,000.
I know it had a great weekend too.
It looks like one of those ones that is fun. Like I would enjoy watching. I could probably laugh at that one because Tim Robinson just gets me. And then
Yeah.
Paul Rudd's hilarious
His
given
timing
the
is
chance.
perfect. Yeah.
So that's
It-
one that like because it's $30 to go see movies now. It's one I'll wait to watch. But there's that Lilo and Stitch like let's make money by waiting until a week or two beforehand to unleash the controversy, and then we'll still make money off of it,
oh, for
even though it's a
sure.
bad film. I sent you a TikTok about that as well. It was actually mentioned in a prior film that I don't remember. It was Ferris Bueller, um, that actor was talking to somebody else about this conundrum of
Yeah.
film, and it's like you can still have a profitable film even if it's bad because of uh, I don't know it being so bad. I guess is
Yeah,
the way,
right.
and
Well, because
we
at
see it
that
every
point,
day.
it gets laughed at, like Minecraft. I
Yeah,
mean, like that's exactly what it is. Let's not like I called it. I will always take credit for that. But we have to be real. A Minecraft movie is not a good movie, but
no,
it's memeable, and that's why.
and kids. I mean,
Children,
kids
yeah,
don't know
brain rot. Which
brain
we'll
rot.
talk a lot about that in our next segment. So before we move on, before we move
Great
on,
segue.
you will see why Jake cringes so hard because I never thought I'd have this back-to-back breaking news in a week
It's
ever.
just more cringy when the adults try to do it
And we're
too.
going to try to explain it, and it's going to sound bad when we do it. Anyway, other notes. So, cinema and especially theater chains everywhere are more than pleased with this record breaking weekend. So, across all films this past with the 4-day weekend, theaters saw a pull of over 322 million. That is a Memorial Day record. The last time we saw a Memorial Day over 300 million was 2013, which is crazy to say that was 12 years ago. That was when Fast and Furious 6, The Hangover Part 3, and Star Trek Into Darkness all hit theaters at the same time, and 2013 was a pretty good year for cinema. So, in comparison to last year, which was led by Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, and Garfield, we saw theaters earn only 132 overall, which was a 30-year Memorial Day worst. So, I think a lot of that, I saw that and I wanted to pinpoint it and talk about it because I feel like that are people really going to turn out for Furiosa, which is already a niche crowd? Like Mad Max is a very niche crowd.
It was a
And
good movie.
oh,
I enjoyed
they're
it,
great, but
but not a lot of people know about Mad Max.
or they don't like them because it's so niche. And then at the same time, it was Garfield with Chris Pratt, so it's like,
Yeah,
I think that one's a little bit like yes, 132 million, terrible for any weekend really. Like I mean, like if we saw any film have 130 or any weekend have 132, we're like, it's whatever. But like a Memorial Day weekend, which as I'm about to explain. The reason it's such a big deal about Memorial Day being successful is because Memorial Day signifies the change into summer for cinema. And the summer season gives the entire year 40% of the year's earnings. So almost half of the entire year's earnings comes in this one season of the year. So the first weekend, which is a holiday weekend, needs to kick off right, which is why 132 million last year was not great. And we had all the questions of if cinema was dead. And now here we are a year later with a record-breaking 322 million pull, best since 2013. So this Memorial Day kicked off with a bang, and the summer is here officially, according to Cinema. So anything you want to say to the people before we go to a break?
falafel.
And on that note, coming up after the break, we have the YouTube takeover in cinema, details surrounding the Elden Ring adaptation, and Marvel release date changes. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Beyond the Screen. You've made it to segment 2 where we kind of kick off news. We split it in half. We have 10 stories today, so a stacked lineup. We're going to go ahead and get right into it. So, starting off our major news, we have a YouTube takeover in cinema. Starting off with A24 is producing a Backrooms feature length, bringing in viral creator Kane Parsons to direct. Also, Kane Parsons just graduated high school. He is 19 years old.
Jealous?
Where are we, man, in life? Jealous? Yeah, the kid's 19. What do you mean? I want to know what, like, I know the idea came from a 2019 creepypasta, which for those of you who don't know, and I'm kind of going off script here a little bit. I mean, I'm jumping around the script. A 2019 creepypasta, which a creepypasta is like folklore from the internet. It's like scary stories you tell each other in the dark that got painted as urban legends, but were definitely
they're oftentimes
they're
not
not.
that good.
No, they're terrible.
Either they're terrible, there's
Yeah.
plot holes, they're just like the man without a nose. And it's like
Slender Man, Jeff
it's
the
the stuff that
Killer.
like you read at like 9 or 10 years old at 2 a.m. in the morning when you're not supposed to have your phone. And you stash it under your pillow when your parents hear you go,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And they come in and you're like,
Dead, but the
play
lights
sweet, dude.
peering through the bottom of the pillow, they could see the phone. Yeah. And that, I mean, creepypastas are fun in the fact that people are just being creative and they're just telling scary stories. It's the same feel as like when you go to camp or something and you're at the fire and you're all making up stories trying to scare each other. But imagine if the fire was the internet and it was an infinite amount of people at your disposal at any given time. And it wasn't
And
necessarily the best well thought out stories either.
yeah, and it's you're telling the stories like on the fly.
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah.
every sentence is something new.
Yeah. Read the Jeff the Killer because it is some of the funniest things you'll ever read. It is so bad, but it
Like
spawned.
Smiling Jack.
Yeah,
like the dog.
Slender Man. You know, like
Yeah,
like
that's
all
where
that.
Slender Man comes from. If I know people have heard of that one because as we were growing up, I don't know about you, Ryan, but like that was something that all the parents got scared of, and like even Family Guy
Well,
referenced
there was
it.
a murder. There,
Well,
like
yeah,
going off
people.
topic, but yeah.
There were kids who had died because other kids believed they had to for the sake of Slender Man.
He's
And so that's
talking
why-
to me, and they stabbed
Yeah.
it. Yeah, sad stuff. But that is a creepypasta. That's where this gets started. And 2019 is late for creepypastas to be inspiring things because that was like a 2010 to 16, 17 thing. So kind of surprising that it was from 2019. It was on 4chan of all places. Not even Reddit. So anyway, going back to the Backrooms, the original found
Not
footage
even
short.
Tumblr.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, 4chan. Anyway, the original found footage short follows a 1990s set filmmaker who journeys through dimensions, slipping from our reality to a yellow wallpaper-cladded alternate dimension. This never-ending labyrinth contains or may not contain like Lovecraftian horrors beyond our comprehension. You see things, but you might not see things, and you're running around. It's inspired video games and other media. There are memes about it everywhere. And now, Kane Parsons took that concept, made it into using VFX and video, made it into a video or like a short series. He's done a lot, but specifically in 2022, this is what kicked off in our lifetime, which I thought it was before that. But 2022 is when the big thing with the Backrooms kicked off. Now, 3 years later, A24 is picking up and producing a Backrooms feature-length film. So, A24, the aforementioned production house, has yet to comment on anything regarding story. The film is being written by Roberto Patino and is produced by notable figures like Sean Levy, Dan Cohen, who are both from 21 Laps, obviously Sean Levy of Deadpool fame, as well as James Wan from Atomic Monster. So there are big names attached to this, which this is not the first online thing. Again, we're going to talk about another one right after this with big names for no apparent reason. So the film is in talks to star Chiwetel Ejiofor from Doctor Strange, who was he wasn't the main villain, but if you remember in the first one, the dude who taught Doctor Strange and then was like, this is not the way, and he just leaves and everyone's been waiting for him to come back. That guy, yeah, the actor for him is in talks to star. And so is Kristen Milotti, who was the How I Met Your Mother lady, the main lead. So some pretty noticeable stars are in talks for this. So Jake, I'm seeing a new little tidbit here. Go
Well,
ahead.
she was. Oh man, you missed a big thing she recently just did. She was Sophia Falcone in The Penguin.
That's right. Yeah. That's true too. I mean, that is. That is.
It's like I was like you named a reference, and I was like, how I met you. It's like that is not where I knew her from, and I had to quickly look it up because I was like, oh, dude, that's the lady from The Penguin. Not 20 minutes earlier, and then I forgot.
Yeah, right. No, it's okay. You are right though. She did more notably recently, hindsight bias, do The Penguin, which is a great point.
So
Yeah, it's great
I look
talent.
forward to that. Two great talents.
Yeah.
Going to be potentially like deals aren't signed, but in front of the camera, and it's either going to work or it's not. But I don't think a lot of people are going to go see this because they don't understand it.
Yeah.
I don't think like target audience wise is us. I guess the mid 20s and maybe who are people are still on 4chan, and then I don't see like nowadays 7-year-olds going to see this, which they shouldn't. I assume it's going to be an R-rated.
Has to be.
I mean, um, and Ryan, you got photos to show people if you don't.
Oh yes, thank you. I apologize. I'm also directing
First.
this week, fellas. We're doing it. There you
So
go.
that's what it looks like. Like most of the video games, like that would be a character I think from. I think that's a screenshot from a video game.
Yeah.
Um, but most of the time, like the first video games I saw come out with this kind of backdrop was it's basically just running around through those rooms and it's never ending. There's no exit.
Yeah.
And you're being chased by like usually it's so poorly because it's like an indie game, it's so poorly done that it's usually a PNG of like whatever you want. So you upload a PNG and it's like literally a flat image from like reminds you of like the old like Doom video games where it's just a flat image. If you look at it sideways, there's a
Yeah.
little thin line of pixels, and I've seen like Obama, I've seen
Oh, yes,
I've
I've
seen
seen those.
emojis, I've seen all kinds of stuff chase people through the back rooms in these video games.
Didn't that also happen in Gmod? Didn't they have like a very similar?
That's where it's built.
Yeah,
They're
okay.
usually built in Gmod.
Got you. Yep.
So it's just funny to see it as a movie now. Like I don't know, they must think there's money in it. Why else do it? Why there's no maybe there's a story to tell.
So if yes, it got memed to hell, man. Like that's what happened after it blew up. But the original, have you ever seen the original short on YouTube, like the short film?
No, I'm looking at Kane
Parsons.
right? Kane Parsons, his YouTube channel is Kane Pixels. He's got like numerous different videos of the Backrooms, like found footage #2, like
It's
Backrooms
terrifying.
presentation, like all kinds of different stuff. And then there's actually that monster that we showed you guys. He's got like that's a thumbnail for his one of his first Backrooms videos. So sorry, I thought it was a part of the video game, but there is going to be a video game coming out that looks a little bit more polished now. I've seen it, and my buddies we all wish listed it. We're ready, but you're in more of like hazmat suits, and you're trying to, I
Yeah.
guess, navigate it as well. But
I'm
it's supposed to be-
excited. That
I'm
is-
excited for.
yeah.
I mean, I'm excited to hear about it, see if it's good. I don't have high hopes for it just because it monetarily. I don't think people are going to go see it.
Hold on, we said the same thing about Minecraft. Listen, I get it, but you got to understand if it's memeable and if it was something that the
Well,
internet collectively knows about, people are going to go.
I'll segue to the next one. I have different opinions on the next one that we're going to talk about because I do think that's going to be a Minecraft level event.
Oh, I cannot wait to throw this one up on our screen. So moving on, because that's a great segue. Michael Bay. I never thought I'd say this. Set to direct a Skibidi Toilet adaptation. This is going to be produced by former Paramount exec Adam Goodman and has in his outfit Invisible, so his production house, Invisible Narratives, excuse me. The popular YouTube series will now be getting a feature length. Not only, but Goodman also has high hopes, stating and going out of his way specifically to say that he thinks it will rival the MCU. Let that sink in.
There's not going to be one.
I cannot wait. You
that's
know
what
what?
he's
Listen,
saying.
I hate what I'm about to do to you people, but I have more to read, and I'm just gonna. You guys have to look at what I'm looking at. So, bam, there you go. You at home can see this until I'm done. Popular.
Quoted.
Popular with the youth of today, the story of the YouTube series follows the Skibidi Toilets and what Forbes calls the mechanical men, who are comprised of media equipment like televisions, monitors, and cameras, and whatever else, in a war that has grown in size and scale as the series has continued into an arms race between the two sides. From hand-to-hand combat that includes plungers as blunt force objects to now monstrously sized mech suits with lasers fighting each other, there is a lot of room for a potential franchise to cover. And I cannot believe that I just had to type that, which it's an odd.
And
what is happening?
Ryan, do you think we'd be able to present the original Skibidi Toilet on the podcast?
I don't know.
I have it.
Oh boy.
With your permission, I would like to plague these people.
I guess I call the shots here.
I have loaded it up. It
All
is up
right.
to
I
you.
am so scared of the volume on this. I've got more.
Yeah, I have no idea. Brace yourselves, people.
All
If
right,
you're in
here we
your
go.
car, you might want to turn it
Listeners,
down.
audio listeners, this is going to be cursed. And I am so sorry for what you're about to hear. But here we go. An official Beyond the Screen first.
That is ridiculous.
And I'm removing that.
And that's it. That's all the first video ever was. It has since blown up, and on YouTube. The first person that posted that is now at 45.8 million subscribers,
Nice.
and Skibidi Toilet is on its 25th season, 78th episode. I'm talking like insane, and they're all like 14 minutes. Like it all ranges. Like 77 part 1 was 3 minutes 50 seconds. 77 part 2 was 3 minutes. Part 3 was 4:50, 5:20. Full episode is 24 minutes. They put them all together. Like it's extensive,
Yeah. This war
poorly
between.
CGI'd YouTube garbage that
Yeah.
all your kids watch. If you're old enough to have kids, you've heard Skibidi Toilet, you've heard Riz,
Yeah.
you've heard all these buzzwords thrown out of the new generation. You thought Minecraft was bad. You thought you had it bad with Lava Chicken and Chicken Jockey and Buck Chuckets. You really did. This is going to be worse. And prepare yourselves. Invest in earplugs. Or take your kids and live off the grid, because it's coming. Don't say we didn't warn you. We don't know a release date.
Yeah.
It's coming. If this hits, if this green lights, it gets put into production. This is it, folks.
We talked earlier about Gmod. Now, this isn't necessarily Gmod, but this creator, a Georgian creator by the name of Alexei Gerasimov. He used Half-Life 2 assets to create this animation. And what's hilarious, one, the whole war, the story follows the fallout and the like apocalyptic result of this war, which is ridiculously like a complex narrative for something that you just saw at home that is cursed. I regret having played it. Like it's ridiculous. However, you would never believe, if you weren't reading my script, Jake, what inspired this. It was two things. One, it was a nightmare that Gerasimov had about heads sticking out of toilets. And he decided to turn around and make that following a nightmare. And then on top of it, the overarching story is inspired by Transformers. The Michael Bay Transformers. That's why we're here.
That's why Michael Bay is on it.
That's why. So it's,
Yeah.
I don't know how it's like, oh, I'm scared of, because like the thing is, I've heard of people be scared of like snakes swimming up like drain pipes and like getting
Yeah.
into the toilet while you're sitting. I've heard that. But I like, so I can like the leap of like being scared of people coming out of nowhere because humanity is scary. And like them coming out of toilets is like, I can understand how that could be a nightmare for someone who already has like a fear of that stuff. But then to somehow be like, what if it were Transformers? And it work? Like, I'm so angry that this is actually something that is like, I'm not angry. It's crazy that this is succeeding.
I think bro's angry.
I'm not angry. It's just levels of comedy that I can't describe. So not only has Bay joined the project, but also so has 3-time Academy Award-winning VFX supervisor, Rob Legato, who's of Titanic, Avatar, and Jungle Book fame, but as well as Academy Award nominated production designer Jeffrey Beecroft from 12 Monkeys and Transformers.
Huh.
So this is going to look good, is what I'm hearing. How?
Unfortunately.
It's going to look good.
Dude, I don't care. However much money they toss at this, there's a reason Gantu was cut from Lilo and Stitch, and it was because they didn't want to animate him. I want to know who in the world has more money than Disney and is deciding to animate this.
It's
Because
Adam
Disney
Goodman.
didn't even want to stay. Well, I mean, I know it's a rhetorical thing, Ryan. All right, I'm just saying that like if Disney didn't want to toss the money to animate, to keep to the original story. Who in their right mind is tossing this much money to make this?
My favorite is the meme or like the response on Twitter that you had put in the video was of John Hamm sitting there and it's Michael Bay studying for the film because
I wish I could get you more. Like, I'm actually staring at the YouTube channel where all of these take place. I'm actually, I want people to see this. And now that I know how to present image files to Ryan,
okay, here you go. You
screenshot
ready?
of the latest YouTube thumbnails.
Here it comes.
I mean, it's
What is this?
the Skibidi Toilet lore, dude. It's every like new episode. It is the latest episodes from top to like bottom. Like, so we're looking at 78 through 73. Yeah, and it's we bring up Gmod, or like it's like a sandbox game where you can code or change anything you want. You can do anything as long as you have the assets, the 3D models, anything like that. And this guy's, I mean, obviously he's a little weird, he's a little funny, but he's very good at this, and he's gotten better. Obviously, if you practice something, you're going to get better. And so this episode 78 there looks a whole lot better than like episode 2. But it's all brain rot. I mean, it's all nonsensical blabbering and
millions of views.
millions of views, like kids. Like, I'm not going to say that the guys that are putting money towards this movie are stupid in the sense that they're not going to make a lot of money off of this, but it's just like somebody persuaded them. Something happened and they were like, yeah.
You know what? I'll tell you what happened, because you got to think Paramount is where Michael Bay did his Transformers stuff. So in theory, I didn't do this research. I just kind of put this together. Goodman was probably at Paramount when Bay was making Transformers. So that's probably how that connection happened. I guarantee you, Michael Bay, who's not been in the headlines for almost a decade, right? Like, I can't tell you the last Michael Bay film to come out. He saw Skibidi Toilet after Minecraft, or after the last video game adaptation before that, which is probably like Sonic 3. And he went to Alex Goodman and he said, I'll do this. I guarantee it, because he was trying to find a reason to stay relevant.
He did. Michael Bay was a producer on Drop.
Okay, that makes sense.
He was director last of We Are Storor, Born Evil, The Serial Killer and the Savior, Ambulance, The Hype, Underground. He did Underground with Ryan Gosling.
Oh.
Gosling? No, Ryan Reynolds. Six Underground. You remember that? 6?
Kind of, yeah.
I watched that. Also, I was on John Goodman's Instagram, and I found a photo 87 weeks ago, but it was gaming at home on a Saturday, dork ? And he's in his movie theater in his house. It looks awesome. I mean, it's like something that I would want my movie, like warm lighting, like I've got, like it's got sound perforations in the ceiling, like angular designs for sound dampening. The walls are kind of, it looks like a theater in the sense that like the walls are kind of like grooved, and he's got a desk in the back of the room that he's got this wide, like 36 plus or 48-inch monitor, real wide, generic, no RGB control over his keyboard or his mouse. It's all just rainbow puke. And you can see his desk see his monitor, see his PC under his desk. It's the same. Like, he just plugged it in. It's one of those plug-ins and run. And he's playing Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I want to say that Adam Goodman is probably also a very
Did I say
big
Adam?
proponent.
Is it Adam or Alex? I thought I had said Alex before.
Let's go with Adam.
Hold on, it's in the script. It is Adam. I got the name wrong. That's my bad.
Because he had posted his last post is what is Skibidi Toilet and why is Michael Bay directing the movie? It's a screenshot of I believe thedailybeast.com. It's an article and he gives it to people as like a good explanation ... and gives the link on Instagram, so like you can't even click it. So, and I'm not making fun of Adam, like I'm just saying that like I could see this guy, I don't know if he has kids, but he's definitely seen Skibidi Toilet and he's like, this is it. This is the next big idea. And I could see him also being like the big proponent in the push for this. Like just what you said with Michael Bay, I think this is also, I think that's Adam as well. I think Adam drank the Kool-Aid and was like, oh yeah, this is it. This is it. Just by judging his setup. And that's me being mean as a computer nerd. Judging his setup, I'm like, yeah, that's what happened.
I was going to say, when you were describing his setup, I was like, he doesn't touch that. Until you said flight simulator. And I was like, yeah, he does. And
At least that's what it looks like.
I will.
Aviation. He's like on Google Earth looking.
We have to move on because I'm
Yeah,
done talking about this. But what I will say is, it is going to be the cringiest thing on the planet because you have Michael Bay. It's just like these guys who are older who have no idea. Like they're storytellers, so, but it's also like it's just not their target audience. Like it's one thing to get Jack Black to be Steve from Minecraft, where there's so much subjectivity, and Jack Black, his Jack Blackisms are, you know, they're a hit with any generation. So whatever. But
I mean, you can't not have Alexei Gerasimov.
I said Gerard. Yeah, sure.
Whatever.
Gerasimov.
So Alexei, you can't have this. You can't have it without him on set, or at the very least helping these guys, right? Like you gotta have some subject matter experts.
I would hope.
Set. You can't just let Adam and Michael watch the series and then say, "Oh yeah, we got this. Let's make a movie."
I don't know how
they
old.
Seriously, feel like
How old's Michael Bay? What's he in his 60s now? Guy's got his like 11-year-old grandkid as like his production supervisor.
60 years.
He's 60, so he could have a grandkid.
But I'm not saying that like you need to have like a grandkid or a kid on set.
No, I'm just saying that'd be funny.
I'm just saying it's like you have to have somebody who knows something. If it's not Alexei, then like you're if you can't get the guy who's making this stuff, who's your next best bet in subject matter? Because like John Hamm, like the John Hamm meme, and it's like Michael Bay is legitimately going to be sitting in his theater at home with Adam or over at Adam's, watching the YouTube clips of this dude and studying it. And that is such a funny thing to me because like if I was like Michael Bay's wife upstairs listening to that, it's like what in the hell is he watching?
We're moving on. We have to stop talking about this because we have some good news, and it's such a quick little news segment. Alex Garland to direct an Elden Ring adaptation at A24. So the former Ex Machina and Civil War director will also write the From Software and Bandai Namco's hit RPG adaptation. Excuse me. George R.R. Martin is also slated to return to the Elden Ring story to help produce the film. He helped create the video game story. And as of right now, plot details are very, very limited. So, Jake, what do you think about a Elden Ring adaptation?
I think it's very interesting. What I know about Elden Ring is it's not really like a named character. You don't play a named character other than like the Tarnished, which just means you're basically an unnamed character who goes around beating all the bosses and you eventually become top of the food chain. There's several different endings. That's going to be weird because if Elden Ring has 4 or 5 endings, how are you going to do that with a movie?
Yeah.
What's the movie going to be about? Like, is it going to follow the Tarnished? You know,
like, what do you do?
Like, what? Yeah, what is? I don't know. What's the story here? And that's likely why they're keeping the plot details pretty quiet, because they're really going to probably have to lean on George here to help him out with a story. Like, there is a story in Elden Ring, but I mean, you're a unknown person in this realm, and It's basically it's one of the harder games. Like they call them FromSoft like style games or Souls style games, where
Yeah.
Dark Souls and Elden Ring, and then there's others that fall into this. But the style and just the way the game mechanics work is, if you get hit, like you're severely um it's like it's a big negative. Like if you get hit once, it could mean that's it. Like next time you're stunned or whatever. Like it's one of those games where you can't even get hit once.
You have to be
So
flawless.
you have to be flawless. It's and even on the easiest of difficulties where they don't hit as hard or whatever, like it's still a really hard video game to learn
Yeah.
and continually play. Um, which means nothing to a movie, but I am interested in figuring out how they show it like on film
Yeah.
that way, because I'm foreseeing a Chris Pine um what is it, the world of
He did
War-
the Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. I'm foreseeing that, and that didn't do well.
There's actually a cult following on. I liked the thing is that it's Dungeons and Dragons, is D&D. So you got there's so much subjectivity and it's more goofy because it's like that's like how actual campaigns go. And I know that's super like that's being very broad stroke to those who play D&D, because I know a ton of people who play it very seriously, and like
Right.
the whole point of D&D is telling the story. So it's like I know there are a lot of people who play it very seriously, but the thing about the game is that it, or the film I should say, is that like you can have those goofy moments. Like there's a lot of people who are more, I would say more often than not, people play it silly. Like they just go to have fun, and the movie captured that very well. Like the movie that's why it succeeded. The one thing that I can see, because like as you painted the depiction of the game so perfectly, they like Bloodborne is one of the hardest video games of all time, but it's also considered one of the best.
Right.
The thing about these games is you see like yourself or other players as like souls running around, and like you can have, so I could see it being something like that, to where it's like a cursed, almost like a hell type, to where it's like this character, he's learning and he is dying, and that's how you get that, but it has to be done very serious. It has to be very gritty. I would be with George R.R. Martin involved. I'm excited because like obviously Game of Thrones and the spin-off series, they're all very, they have to be darker than the Game of Thrones, but that's a great start. Like if you're starting with Game of Thrones, that's a great place to be. So I'm very interested. If it is Chris Pine, I don't think anyone would take it seriously.
No, well, I mean, I just threw that one out there so I can remember what he, or you helped me remember what he played in Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Yeah.
But I don't I don't know how you could possibly do a film on this without it turning out like Dungeons and Dragons or World of Warcraft, like the movies.
I-
Because I mean, it's done. It's been done, right?
Yeah.
Usually, a video game outside of Minecraft. Now that we have to make this um, that point outside of Minecraft, uh, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be very hard. They're lucky they have George R. R. Martin on this, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
think it's gonna be hard. I can't wait to see trailers or teasers or some kind of test footage. I want to see some footage of what they've got.
Well, also, you say that, and it made me think of another point too. Is the combat has to be gnarly, because that is how the game plays. Every
I
one
mean,
of them.
the antagonists, like any of the beasts that you go up against, because I mean,
They're
the story
scary.
isn't necessarily linear either. Yeah, and the beasts are scary. They're insane looking. They're crazy. They have stages. If you beat them up to a certain point, their health bar goes down to a quarter left, and then they get crazy overpowered and shoot fire or lava or do something. And there's a second stage to the battle where it just became infinitely more harder. Their patterns have changed. It's one of those pattern games, really. I mean, you want to go back to Pixels and Adam Sandler, knowing all the patterns.
Yeah.
That's what this is, right? And then there are some that I don't know if it's in Elden Ring, but I know that there's some that are smart enough to somewhat learn your patterns as well. And that was something crazy. I don't know if that's in.
Woo! Yeah, I think that is in Elden Ring, and I think that is,
So
yeah.
frightening and that very hard to beat. But
I
I don't know where I
will.
was going with that, but no, sorry. It's not even like the linear, like you don't get told where to go. It's not one of those games that's like you go here, then go here, then go here, fight this guy, go here. No, it's not really. You actually have to read the dialogue. If they mention something, you have to have the map knowledge and the lore
Yeah.
knowledge. Like you actually have to know. about this land and be fully enveloped, George R.R. Martin style,
Yeah.
to even know how to beat the game. I didn't beat the game. I could not like pour in that amount of time. Now my buddy who doesn't he didn't have a job for a while. He loved it. So,
Yeah.
but
The unemployed's best friend. I say that super sarcastically.
but
I
no,
love
I
video
mean like,
games.
and there's it's outside of lore and knowing how to play the game and doing well in the game, knowing the lore to actually complete quests. Then you also have to know everything about how the mechanics is set up in terms of swords, armor, knowing where to put your stat points. Like it's a level of D&D there where like you have stat points that you put in certain things, and it's like, dude, it's way over my head.
Well, and that's
It's a,
another great point, and maybe you might have already alluded to this, but you talk about the lore, having to know the lore. These games are not lore forward. It's
Right.
it's oftentimes hidden. Like you have like it's strange at how they're so successful because like, and obviously it's because of the patterns, it's because of the difficulty, and people just like they're not playing soul games for story until they realize there was a story, and then you have to go way out of your way to find it. So
yeah.
how like with a game like that, and this leads into my second point too, if you can do it successfully and if you can adapt it successfully, because that leads you to having a super subjective movie, which makes it already gives you a very niche audience to begin with. Or you find a story that makes everyone somewhat happy and it's a decent movie. I think the big reason why this is a thing is because think about how much story, once you find it, is in any of the Soul games.
Yeah.
That is a franchise waiting. And that is not just a franchise of 3 or 4 movies. You could have double digits, just spin-offs and spin-offs. Because think about, again, all of the Soul games, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, the Elden Ring DLC that just came out, Shadow of the Eldritch Tree. Is that right? Is that correct?
Something tree.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like that, like all these different like, and again, they're all the same format. You can play them just to play them to have difficulty and just to have fun time, or you can go through it and spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours finding every little nook and cranny of every little map and every little building of this vast landscape to find a little piece of paper that might tell you what's happening,
Right.
and it might not. And so like that's like the thing, and so it's like that's where that expansiveness can create something massive, or it can create something so niche and so subjective that it pushes people away. So that's where I'm interested. I think you bringing on George R. R. Martin is beautiful because you have that guy who can grasp an audience, and you can have a more like audience facing story without betraying the original the original Elden Ring, because he's the guy who helped make it. So
Anything but finishing his book, right?
well, apparently, I was reading something today from Screen Rant is that he's announced another project, and people are like, he's just not going to do it. Like,
No.
and so what if he's like got it complete and he's just waiting till he dies?
Yeah, that's gonna be
Yeah.
what he sends out when he dies.
Shocker! Actually, I did finish it. Ugh. And he's just anyway. Time to move on. The Hunger Games have done a great job with their casting, and they just did another great one. I know. In fact, I'm actually Emily. If you would like to be involved in this one, I know you had an opinion about it. We're going to bring Emily back, and I'm going to go ahead and read. So as I add Emily back, hello, Emily. And yet another great casting decision, at least in my opinion. Lionsgate announced that Kieran Culkin will be playing Caesar Flickerman in the upcoming Sunrise on the Reaping adaptation. So this is Culkin's first film since his performance as Benji Kaplan in last year's A Real Pain, which won him an Oscar. He replaces Stanley Tucci, who portrayed Flickerman in the first 4 films of the Hunger Games franchise. When talking about just this casting news, longtime Lionsgate co-president Aaron Westerman had this to say about Culkin's casting. Quote, Kieran's scene-stealing presence and undeniable charm are perfect for Caesar Flickerman, the sickeningly, I'm so sorry, everybody, watchable host of Panem's darkest spectacle. So, what do we think?
Miss, I have an opinion.
Could you put the pictures on the screen really quick?
Yes, of course.
So, like you guys can see, they look right now like the same exact age, and this is the Caesar Flickerman from the OG Hunger Games movie. So this is like the youngest like we ever see him. And tell me how to pronounce this guy's name again.
Kieran?
Kieran Culkin.
Kieran, that's what I thought. Right. the Home Alone guy's brother, right? If you see him right now as is, they look like the exact same age. And how far back is this new Hunger Games movie supposed to take place, like in the franchise?
The 50th
Several.
anniversary, was it? It wasn't 50 years, was it? Hold on,
No.
let me look it up. What year was the first Hunger Games?
2000,
I think you change bro's haircut and shave him
2011.
like baby's bottom, shave that man. I think he'll look even younger.
It's not 50 years because isn't this the movie that showcases
Is it 25? Was the first Hunger Games 24 years? Oh, I was almost on the money. So the first Hunger Games with Haymitch and with Caesar and all them was with Katniss was 24 years after the one we're about to have. So Kieran is playing the younger version of Stanley Tucci 24 years prior.
right, so we would need someone to look like late teens, early 20s. Like I don't know how old Caesar Flickerman is supposed to be in the OG Hunger Games movie, but whatever this is not it. Like he would have to be like early 20s to convince me that this is a 24-year jump.
You're not. So I looked it up, and this is completely the first thing. It's the AI pulling information on Google. So please take this with a grain of salt. But Caesar in the first Hunger Game is likely in his late 50s or early 60s.
That is so not represented here on the screen. Like what
But he's in higher society. They got like face creams and stuff.
But you're not thinking that. If you're not catching that immediately with your eyes without thinking, oh, maybe they have face creams, and that's something wrong there. I don't think that's a very smart casting decision.
I'm going to throw him back up again, ladies and gentlemen,
Thank
for
you.
those
Like,
watching.
Yeah, I'm not seeing late 50s, early 60s there. Can you look up how old Stanley was?
Doing it. Hold on. I'm looking up how old Kieran Culkin is.
They're probably this very
He's
near the
42.
same.
He's 42.
Kieran?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stanley Tucci is currently 64.
Okay,
then the Hunger Games movie-
12 years ago,
Right.
what was he? 12 years ago.
So 52. So Kieran is 12 years.
Oh.
12. Yeah.
Around 10 years younger, but it's supposed to be 24 years younger or something, right?
Yeah. So Kieran is 20 something years younger but so he's 10 years younger than how old Stanley Tucci was when he played the character 20 years in the future.
You lost me, to be honest.
No.
I think we wait to see Kieran in full makeup.
I'm afraid the
have
same
faith.
thing is going to happen. Did you guys ever watch the Dear Evan Hansen movie way back when it came out?
Go ahead. No.
Okay.
Not the musical.
Dear
Yeah, I
Evan
know.
Hansen.
Big into musicals, big into Dear Evan Hansen. So Ben Platt was the guy who played the OG Evan Hansen when the musical first came out back in like 2016, 2017. And people loved him so much that even through the other adaptations of Evan Hansen, as he like left Broadway, that they brought him back as Evan Hansen for the movie. But because he had aged like, it honestly wasn't that much, but he was a little bit older to be playing I think 17-year-old when it debuted anyways.
Yeah.
That they had to like kind of AI his face a little bit to make him look softer, like his complexion softer, which wouldn't be too far-fetched if we're doing a movie where it's based in the Capitol. But I'm just like worried to see if it's gonna look like Capitol makeup or if you're gonna see a little CGI involved.
I hope we don't see the CGI, but I have faith in Hollywood
Hey,
artists.
Jake, since you're like this really cool tech guy over here, could you pull up a picture of Evan Hansen in the movie so we can see what I'm talking about? Maybe like mention like the CGI part or whatever, because people were really upset about that.
Yeah. Well, this is what I will say about before we pull that up, so we can prove your point. I think Culkin is a fantastic cast as just a talent. I think he'll kill it.
Yeah.
If there's a problem I have, he doesn't look like Stanley Tucci. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like I think that's the bigger problem here is that like I know they're gonna Hollywood, and that's Jake's like his thing here is that they're gonna make him look like the character. So this probably won't be a problem. But when I look, like I'm not gonna put it up for a third time. But when you look at Stanley Tucci and you look at Kieran Culkin, they don't look alike.
Put it up for a third time.
He's not gonna do it. He's not gonna do it.
You know what? They said I wouldn't. Haters hate.
I think whoever put these two pictures together, you didn't do this, Ryan. Did you know you found this somewhere?
This was not me.
Okay, I think whoever put these together, I would assume, tried to get a picture of Kieran that somewhat resembled
Most
Stanley
of the
Kubrick.
time, Kieran has a beard. He actually keeps a decent, like more than that photo. That's probably as shaven as I've seen him in a while.
Did
Yeah,
we
Jake, you know
say
him really well.
what
Yeah,
year
he comes over.
Hunger Games was this was this set in? This is about Haymitch, isn't it?
Yeah, the 50th. So
The 50th.
yeah,
So
the,
this
the
has already
quarter
been going
quell.
on for 50 years.
Yeah.
Okay, then never mind. Because I was like, what if it showcased a little bit of what people looked like before this whole the capital thing really started being implemented, and it was more of a human version of him looking before he was all done up and fixed up or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's already been going on for 50 years, and that's not the case.
No, it's tough because the closest we got to that was the last one, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which was Snow's prequel.
Or, yeah.
And that the Hunger Games, I think at that point that was the 10th anniversary in that one, if I remember correctly. So we never
It was
really,
already.
yeah, I don't think we ever. Let me look it up. Hunger Games number. It was 10. Ah, my brain. Sometimes it works. So yeah, I don't know. So I'm interested. That's all I'll
I
say.
am too.
So
I'm
Go
trying
ahead.
to find who you're talking about.
I see it in
and
here.
I'm gonna break
Do-
your heart. I can't tell the
So-
difference.
Ben Platt. You
Emily,
can't tell.
you have to tell us if this is correct. I'm throwing it on the screen for our viewers.
Okay, that's him in the Broadway musical back in 2017.
Okay.
And now
Okay.
he's old.
Yeah, do you have the movie picture of him?
The
See
movie
how he already
picture-
looks a little bit too old to be playing like a 17-year-old.
He do be looking old.
Right. And then imagine that. When did it come out? 2018, 2019, 2020. I have actually no idea when the
I
movie
think it
came
was
out.
21. I think. I don't know. Like it's still.
Just look up Ben Platt, Dear Evan Hansen movie.
Believe me, I am. Believe me,
That's crazy.
doing my best to try and find.
While we look for that, I want to
Ooh,
add in the
that'd be
final
good.
detail here. Longtime Hunger Games director Francis Lawrence returns after helming the upcoming Stephen King adaptation of The Long Walk with a script penned by, I kid you not, his name is Billy Ray.
Cyrus?
No,
Cyrus?
not that guy. Because I looked it up too, because I was like, why? Who? Also, he's now just Cyrus, and he is not doing well. But not that
Billy
guy.
Ray Cyrus?
He's not doing well. There was drama recently with him and his son, who apparently he disowned, and his son was like, because Cyrus was on, he performed live, and he sounded bad, and he did not look healthy.
Oh yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. So, not what we're talking about here. Billy
Whoa,
Ray.
whoa.
She
No.
wants to talk
We
about
gotta
it.
find the Dear Evan Hansen movie thing, but not
did.
that
There it
Billy
is.
Ray, not that Billy Ray. You did? Oh, I see it. Here we go. Oh no, that's not it. Hold on, give me a second. Give me a second. There we go.
Yeah, so you see how they kind of blushed up his cheeks a lot. It's
He
like he's
still looks like he's an old man.
Yeah, so people were
I think
quite
he was-
upset about that. That they tried to make him look younger. You couldn't really do it. It's very poorly obvious that they tried to make him look younger to fit the role. And I'm worried that's what they're going to do as well. Though you could get away with it better if it's set in the Capitol.
I'm going back and forth.
Here you go, Ryan. Here might be. Oh wait, I don't know if I can upload a. Never mind. Never mind. False alarm.
Thank you, Jake. All right. I think we've had enough. Kieran Culkin and Dear Evan Hansen. We got one more thing to do before we go to break. So Emily, if you want to stick around before the break, we have one more story.
Sure.
All right, we're hopping into it. Marvel has delayed Doomsday. Hold on, I want to get our banner. There we go. Marvel has delayed Doomsday and Secret Wars as they reshuffle their strategic plan in the next few years. The whole Marvel MCU and then the next Avengers films have all gotten pushed back. So Doomsday will now release December 18th of next year, and which is the same date as Dune Messiah, which that's a talking point we'll get into. And Secret Wars will now release a year after that, December 17th of 2027. So we still got 2 years to go before the Secret Wars saga kind of wraps up. With that on the way, and we're talking about next year, we're talking about Dune Messiah and Doomsday. What do we think about this massive mid-December of 2026 day in December? Sorry, in cinema.
You know from when I texted the group chat about this is like because it's gonna share that date with Dune Messiah. It's like what are they gonna call it? And I was just like coming up with crappy names. I didn't hit them on the dot, but I am seeing it's coined Dune's Day. This is what they're saying it's going to be. They hope that it's going to be another Barbenheimer, and it's likely Disney chose that date for a reason, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's like we got to piggyback off this because superhero fatigue, Marvel fatigue, whatever you want to call it. Um, I think they kind of know Doomsday probably isn't going to be Avengers Endgame level, but you throw it in there with Dune, you try to make a meme out of it, give everybody the reason to call it Doomsday, and you might get something.
I'll say this, and then I'll throw it to Emily before we get through the rest of this topic. I find it interesting now because of Barbenheimer how we have production companies actively seeking out competitors and release dates, whereas in the history of film, it's been to avoid them.
Right.
Now you have like obviously it's different when it's Marvel doing it, but it's interesting to see like everyone's talking about what's going to be the next Barbenheimer, and all of a sudden now you have big production companies being like, "When's Dune releasing again? Let's release the same day," because at the end of the day, Barbie and Oppenheimer, one crossed $1 billion and the other won Best Picture.
Right.
So, take it away, Emily.
I would have said that Barbenheimer was a poor marketing decision because that just doesn't happen and it has not happened before. Somehow it blew out of the water. I feel like people behind that were like, "Oh my gosh, this is an awful decision," and then it like blew up, and they're like, "Yeah, I knew that it would be successful," and now people are just gonna keep doing that over and over again. So before I would have said that's an awful idea, but now after seeing its success, I would assume that it's going to have equal success.
Yeah.
But I also
Right.
have no idea about either of these two topics, so I'm just going to sit this one out over you.
Well, we've talked about it before on prior episodes where it's like how you can't manufacture this, right? This happens spontaneously through social media, through meme culture, and it just happens. And Ryan and I mentioned it's like we don't think you can manufacture, and we're now actively seeing the attempt to manufacture another Barbenheimer. And to go off of Emily is like I think Barbenheimer worked because Barbie allowed. I mean, if we boil it down to men and women, which I know that's not everybody, but like the guys went to see Gosling be Ken. They went to see Ken. The girls went for Barbie the entire film. Um, and then Barbenheimer or Oppenheimer just, I mean, that was just I have become death, like
Yeah.
that meme there. And I don't know how many of the girlfriends or the girls walked across the theater to go see Oppenheimer.
I
I
that is
They
a
both have opinions.
that is a great point to make. That well, the thing is the reason why I think that succeeded and why this one might not is because Oppenheimer and Barbie appealed to way different demographics, whereas Dune and the MCU appeal to the same.
Yeah.
Take it away, Emily.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the Barbenheimer dynamic worked really well for like couples because I feel like one's like, well, if you come with me to see Barbie, I'll come with you to see Oppenheimer, and it like bounce back and forth. But if it is like targeting the same demographic, like it's not gonna. I
Right.
feel like that's not gonna bring in as much revenue because where you're gonna get like two people at least for each movie with Barbenheimer, you're just gonna get one, like
Yeah.
because you don't have like a tag along buddy. But that's just my take with the couples. I don't know.
And I think Barbie could probably even pull the kids, right? That
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
a younger demographic, whereas like
Easily.
I don't know if I'm going to bring my 7-year-old to go see Doomsday or Dune.
that's
Like
true.
I know there's some 7-year-olds that will make their way into those. I mean, probably MCU more than Dune, but it's just I don't think it's there either. So like it's an odd choice, odd demographics. We'll see if it pays off. I was just super excited to see that it was coined. And people are calling it Doomsday. Whereas I was like, Doom Doom Messiah, like Dume. Like I don't know how you're gonna make this work. And then it was obviously the one that I didn't think of. It's always the one I don't think of.
Going back to Disney and Marvel, because that's also the bigger point here. That was hilarious. But the bigger point with this is the move that these two films had going, not talking about Dune, we're talking about Doomsday and Secret Wars. as I said earlier, this comes amidst a massive restructuring for the release schedule from Marvel and Disney entirely. So, a film for next February, which was unnamed, it was just called a Marvel title, was completely removed from the schedule, while films labeled with the Marvel tag in November of next year and 2027 have been reassigned and are now just called Untitled Disney. So, there are a lot, they kept some dates, they removed others, changed names, so a lot's changing. So there are now only 2 slated films in 2026 for Marvel excuse me, I wrote this very weird. For 2026, that being Doomsday and Sony's Spider-Man Brand New Day. That also means that after this year's Fantastic Four First Steps, we won't have another Marvel project hit our screens until after next year's previously mentioned films. So we're having a lot longer of a time between films, and you're seeing less per year, which is odd. You don't really see Marvel go on a hiatus for more than 6 months. So here
They
we
just
are.
made that change.
That
Right?
is, yeah.
Didn't we hear about the quality over quantity change in the upper management of Disney saying
Yes.
we're
And
not going to churn out 2 a year anymore because obviously that doesn't work.
And that is exactly what Bob Iger said in an investors meeting. It was a phone call that he allowed reporters to be in. That's exactly what he said was quality over quantity. And they're going hard on these, hey, we're going to develop the story, less TV shows, less movies per year, and really try to develop the story, which is what got them successful in the first place. So 2028 seems to be a huge year with 3 dates penciled in so far. So while it's going to be slow this year, next year, in 2027, in 2028, we have films on February the 18th, May the 5th, and November 10th of 2028. So we got a long ways to go before we have a lot. So further thoughts before we go ahead and end this segment?
I hear in the Spider-Man film with Sony, you got to remember, and I'm going to spoil this for everybody. Nobody knows who Spider-Man is. He is now broke and depressed, apparently, and everybody is rejoicing because that is the Spider-Man from the comics. He's supposed to be broke and depressed. He's not supposed to have a lot of money. He's not supposed to be this happy-go-lucky guy because all the time bad things happen to him. I'm talking like Uncle Ben gone, dead. Sometimes Aunt May dead. Like girlfriends dead. Can't save him. Wah. We saw that with Andrew, but like that's the point. Like Tom Holland's he hasn't really hit that until now in this new movie. So everybody's kind of like, yeah, and like I remember specifically, I wish I had the visual for you guys, but it's like a meme where somebody's like breaking shackles.
Yeah.
It's like Spider-Man is now broken, depressed. And somebody pointed out in the comments of that it was everybody who's reading the comments were or reading the comics were saying that they hated how Spider-Man was always broken, depressed, and now after watching all the movies, they wish he was broken, depressed. So the conundrum there, and then I think Mark Ruffalo, or at least the Hulk, is said to be in this new one as well.
That was just
Uh,
today.
yeah. So I saw that in a meme form, or actually a clip from the comic, where the Hulk, not Bruce Banner, actually remembers Spider-Man. He was not affected by the circumstances that made everybody lose their memory. So that was a small. I don't know if it's going to be in it, but it's from the comics.
Before I throw it to break, there was like the epitome of what you're talking about. There's a really famous comic strip, and I cannot remember which edition it was, but it was Spider-Man, but he got to see what his life would be like if he never got powers, and he had like the happiest life ever. Had a bunch of kids, like, because he's a scientist. He became
Right.
like a renowned scientist, won the Nobel Peace Prize, like all these different things, and he's like, but I must remain Spider-Man, and he like it was like,
Yeah.
and everyone was like, why? And so like that is the epitome of this character. So, Emily, any final thoughts before we go to the next segment? And if you'd like to come back, we'll have you back on in the next segment.
We're all good to go for this one.
Awesome. So, coming up after the break, we have updates surrounding the Michael Jackson biopic, and they are juicy. Dwayne Johnson finds his next role, and he's on fire. And we have new trailers, updates from the Cannes Film Festival, and so much more. So, we'll see you in just a second. And welcome back. Emily, if you
I
want to
know-
come back, we can let you come back as well.
I know when she leaves because we lose the ambient sound
Well,
coming from her microphone.
I muted it. She's down there. She's saying something. I'm gonna let her back in in a minute. But I muted it myself,
Yeah.
and I won't even lie for our audio listeners. I wasn't for sure if I was supposed to remove her or not, so I just voted to do it because I didn't want to just make her feel like she had to stick around. Hello, Emily.
Oh,
Nice.
see, she's back. You can
Nice.
hear it again.
I
I swear it
thought-
sounds like
I thought you were gonna say something like, "Oh, we can tell that she's gone because I just lose that spark." You know.
Listen, you are amazing on the show.
No, you were just talking about my
I
audio.
didn't say
Now
it.
it's so loud in here. So
it sounds like crickets, and then when she leaves, it's like, oh man, just
thank
quiet.
God.
Emily, do you want to stick around for our third segment?
Go ahead.
Not now. So.
Oh, well.
Wow.
Okay. Well, if you
I'll
really
tell you.
did, I would love to get your opinion.
No, you're all good.
Okay. Well, we'll talk to you in a minute, Emily.
Mhm.
I feel bad now.
Jeez. Oh man. What did you do, Jake? We have one director and you make them mad before they even start. Great job. Anyway.
We'll get her upgraded if she's on the show a lot more. We'll help her out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Oh,
but
yeah.
on that note, as always, we kind of started unconventionally. A lot of changes happening. We have a lot, I mean, just in terms of visuals change, as you saw last week, this week, we're adding a lot more. And as things continue, you'll start to see it. So thank you for sticking with us and being patient. I know this week, next week, and the week after it'll be a lot of, hey, Ryan, can you put that up? And you'll see a lot of things come up later than they should. And I'm reading and I'm trying to direct at the same time. So if you'll be patient, I really appreciate it. I just thank you for being here as always. To get to our third segment, and to be around for an hour and 15 of two of our three little segments in our show is amazing. And we cannot thank you enough, between me being lethargic again and being slow for the trying to read and not being able to read because I'm trying to direct, and just me being also not able to pronounce things. I cannot thank you enough for just sticking around and being here. We really appreciate you. And I know Jake does, and I know Emily does, and she's down there. She's just doing this. So thank you guys so much for being here, and do the whole nine. Like, subscribe, comment, please. We would love to get some feedback and some opinions. We'd love to share it. We have some features on here that if you comment, you could see it on screen. So we would love to do that. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get into our third segment. We're going to try to make this one a little quicker. Usually we break down trailers. We have our last few updates, and we go through a few more film news. So hopping in here, Michael Jackson's biopic from Lionsgate has been pushed back with the chance of it being split into two films. So when asked why the film is delayed by a film analyst, Lionsgate producer and chair Adam Fogelson confirmed that the film outlet is exploring any and all avenues of storytelling with their upcoming biopic. So it wasn't so much to say like they did announce, hey, this is no longer in the plans for next year, but they were like, yeah, we're exploring everything. And in that specifically came the idea of it being split. So he said, quote, at the end, when you look at the music library, when you look at what Michael Jackson was able to deliver in terms of music and contributions to art, whether or not that can be fit into one movie comfortably or not is a question that we are absolutely asking, which is a very roundabout way of saying yes or no about that. You don't bring that up out of nowhere. So anyway, after referencing a 3.5-hour cut, Fogelson described how most of the most major motion pictures in the last 20 years have had longer cuts when they're first kind of shot out, only to be cut down later. So I don't know. It's weird for him to say that and then to also say we're actually going to do two parts. So there's a lot going on here and there's a lot of moving parts. Jake, you're going to say something.
Maybe he thought that there needed to be more.
Yeah.
After watching 3.5 hours, and he was like, I know how they usually do it these past 20 years where they've had longer first cuts. And then he's like, this is like not even the whole story. And so I don't know. Maybe he's thinking it's the opposite, where it's like, I wouldn't cut any of this. I think we cut too much. And putting it at 4.5 hours might not be worth it.
Yeah, and there's also, I'm going to read this next bit of information because that leads into another idea that I think that I also have that could be pertaining to all this. So while the length might be one issue for the plans with the films changing in terms of a release date, the other might be the real-life legal problems and controversies Jackson's faced in the 90s, which everyone knows about. And before we move forward, I'm not going to be saying names personally. I just don't feel comfortable with that. And this has been covered for 30 years now. So if you don't know any names or you can't go out of your way to find them, that's not on me. I just don't feel comfortable going out of my way to name names of victims. So I'm not going to do that. So With that being said, there were allegations of child abuse and molestation from certain parties in the 90s against Jackson, which did lead to a trial in which Jackson's legal team, they decided to just pay out and get out of the trial. What is that called? I cannot remember exactly. He emphatically said he didn't do it, but he decided to do the payout, which
Dude, as soon as you ask me, I don't
I'm
remember.
blanking on the legal terminology. But he also, in that, he said, I'm not guilty. But he just decided it was not worth the battle or the legal issues. So with that in mind,
Settlement.
a
He
settlement.
settled.
Thank you. Yes, I blanked on the terminology in the moment. He had it was like a $20 million settlement or something crazy like that. But with that, he also had no admission of guilt.
Right.
There are great podcasts for this type of thing that cover it in depth a lot better than I ever will. So please go and listen to them. However, the family in the Jackson estate specifically said, we do not want this reference to this molestation accusation, the trial. This is not to be in this film. And it was. And there are reports from Deadline of a lot of infighting, a lot of potential legal troubles, reshoots, and that is why a lot of it got moved. So I wonder if not only, right, like there's too much to tell because it's Michael Jackson, the Jackson 5 through his most popular
He's the
years.
king of
Yeah.
pop.
We got to think by the time he got to the 90s and these accusations are being thrown at him, he had been around for 30 years already. So it's like, then you have everything that followed after that into his death. So I wonder, it's one, yes, there's probably too much story to tell in one film, but also, do you think he's buying time to be able to say, we have to have the accusations in here? Like trying to find a way to finagle around the Jackson estate?
Maybe. Might be. It is a crucial part. Like, I hate to say that it is a crucial part, but like that's part of the legacy that Jackson left behind. Like, yeah, he might have been a great person, but it's kind of like, it's not kind of like it at all. I was gonna say like Kanye. Like, you can't just go around saying you like to listen to Kanye.
Yeah, not anymore.
Because people kind of look at you funny. But if you go out and say this, like, you're really, really enveloped in Michael Jackson, I know that you might get some raised eyebrows from that as well.
Yeah.
Same with like my favorite football player was O.J. Simpson. It's kind of like, really?
That's who you're going with?
Yeah, it's like, huh, all right. It's like, I really like what Michael Jackson did for society. And it's like, do you? It's just like one of those things. But I think that's why it's crucial to mention it. And I mean, at the end of the day, it sucks that like an estate has that say over it because it is a story that somebody felt needed to be told.
Yeah.
And if you omit a portion of the story,
Is it
then
true?
you're doing a disservice. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you could say, because the thing is that like it's still being debated today whether or not he really did it or not. Like
Right.
yes, a settlement looks bad, but also if it's cheaper than paying going through the and you just want it over with and you have the money to just drop 20 million. Like I'm not going either way because I have a strong feeling about what happened. But I'm not going to let that pollute what we're talking about today. But I think the other portion, like I think it's partly to do with this legal trauma and this legal problems, and on top of it, the wanting to buy time to be able to put that in the story, and the fact that the story's so massive, you probably had to have part 1 and part 2 anyway. I think the other main problem is that the actor playing Michael Jackson I think his name is Jafar Jackson or Jafar Jackson. It's Jaafar. That is his relative. That isn't just some actor. That is, I think, his nephew. So
Okay.
that could be the other reason too, is that you've got, like, it's not
Oh.
just, huh?
Sorry, I'm
no, you're
I'm
good.
still looking for him. Jafar Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not just that they have it's Michael Jackson and it's the Jackson
He's
estate.
nephew.
It's also that you have his literal nephew playing him.
Right.
That's hard. That's a tough place to be.
Man. And this is one of his first.
Yeah.
Yeah, first films. Oh, fun stuff. I don't know. I think there's a realm in which you can mention it and not be biased towards it. Like, if it's a biopic, they did it for Queen. I mean, what's his name?
Freddie Mercury. But the thing is
Freddie had controversies as well, and they somewhat mentioned, but they never.
most
dive.
was it what were those? I don't because like wasn't the I mean I felt like I haven't seen Bohemian Rhapsody. So I had thought that the idea was that the guy like because he was gay in the 70s and 80s was like his big thing. Also he like in the epidemic,
There, I
that
don't know if it
scare.
was adultery or there was a level of problems with
Yeah.
that. I think he was married to that woman that who was the love of his life, and they both claimed that it was just he was gay, and it didn't work out. But I think there was adultery involved, and so that didn't help that image. But like it
Mm.
wasn't, they played it well, like the way they told the story. I think that's what it was. I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the point is that you're making the point that they can tell those controversial segments. But the thing is, you can't really compare him because even if
Yeah.
Freddie Mercury was like if he was cheating on his then wife or whoever he was with, I don't think they were married. Maybe they were. I'm not super caught up on Freddie Mercury like lore, but like
Right. And
this
then
is a
now
bit.
there's a book that came out saying he's got a secret daughter as well,
No,
with a
I'm not
best
getting into that.
friend's
Yeah,
wife.
no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. I ain't getting into all that. The point is, they're different. Well,
Yeah.
infidelity and child molestation are completely different. So it's like you
Right.
can't. So like I get what you're saying, and I think you're completely right. And to an extent, I think they can do that. But also, how do you skirt that line? Because you can't just be like, oh yeah, and he did this to a kid,
Or you can just,
or he was
I mean,
accused
you
of doing
don't,
this to a kid.
well, yeah, you don't do that. You just show that like he's somewhat in either court cases or has lawyers or like there's levels of imagery and small notions that he's in these legal battles and he's like I'm done. I just want to settle, whatever it takes, lawyers, and then like the story progresses. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think there's a realm in which you can do it with
that's hard though. I
it's I mean, nothing worth doing is gonna be easy.
No, I just mean especially like specifically I just mean it's hard from the family. You have the guy literally playing him is his nephew and it
Right.
like the
That
family
doesn't
doesn't
help.
yeah, that's
That does not
exactly
help.
yeah. So yeah, that's what I mean it's hard is because it's like how as a creator do you convince them to let them do that when you're putting that kid through that yeah, it's just anyway, moving on. I think this is a great hopping off point because this is a tough subject to follow. So, in better news, Dwayne Johnson finds his follow up to Smashing Machine. And this guy is, was it you that texted me that was like, Dwayne Johnson might actually be a fantastic actor? And
This is gonna be the film that proves it
yeah.
or
And
not.
we've talked about it on the show before about how like if he just got his money and then it's like actually now I'm going to show you my real stuff and he like cuz the thing is Smashing Machine looks
The
unreal.
trailer
Yeah, looks unreal.
is insane. Like it makes me believe The Rock could actually pull it off.
Yeah. So, not only do we have that, not only do we have him starring in Martin Scorsese's upcoming Hawaiian crime movie,
Yeah.
that is
Which
literally all that it's called right now. So,
right.
but now Johnson has agreed to come back to A24 for a film titled Breakthrough. So the film is being penned by up-and-comer Zeke Goodman. Breakthrough follows, quote, the relationship that forms between an alienated young man and a motivated guru whose methodology and morality are both questionable, and that's from Empire. So specifically from Empire, that's how they penned it. The Rock will play the guru with the search for the lead and director currently underway. So we have like he hopped into this early.
Yeah, and I've seen some comments under posts that are talking about this, and they're like, "Oh, so he's just gonna be playing himself," which I feel like those comments don't also know about the Smashing Machine because otherwise they probably would have mentioned, "Oh, he's going back to playing himself."
This doesn't do him. I feel like this doesn't do him justice. Like, because the thing is that yeah, okay, The Rock probably could play himself as a motivational speaker, but The Rock isn't like he's not a questionable guy. Like he's not like it's not like you hear in headlines about The Rock doing questionable things. He's just The Rock. He's cringy almost. So it's like, yeah, he could definitely, obviously, could play the motivational speaker, but also to have a methodology and morality questionable guru does not fit him. On top of him already playing, he's teaming up with Martin Scorsese, and this Safdie film that is the Smashing Machine is so outside of his realm. I feel like this is just in that line. I
I
don't.
think I think the Smashing Machine is gonna be good. A24, I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be good. It could be. A24 is also up in the air. You never know what kind of movie they're going to come out with, whether or not it's going to be a success, whether or not it's going to win an Oscar,
Yeah.
or if it's going to just be one of those few $1 million, um, like the Menu remake that I can't even remember the name of, about the private island with the movie. Dude, that thing didn't even hit top 5. I don't think. Did
Talk
it?
about was that with Ray Fiennes?
Yeah.
That
No.
that is literally called The Menu.
No, not the Menu. It was the other one that reminded me of the
Oh,
Menu.
oh, it was yeah,
With
that one I know exactly what you're talking about. That was with the private island and the yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. That with the
And it
rock
didn't,
star.
like, it was the
That wasn't that
exact
John
same
Malkovich?
thing. Yeah, John Malkovich, and I don't think it hit top 5.
No, no, it was not. People did
So
not like it.
there
Here
you go.
here
Anora, that
for,
one.
for our audio or for our visual watchers and our audience, here is The Rock.
And the UFC legend that he's portraying, who I've since forgotten the name because I'm a horrible co-host.
I mean, they look almost the same.
Right. Mark Kerr, sorry.
Yeah, that's
So
it.
Mark Kerr is on the left, The Rock on the right in the movie poster. They've recreated some shots, like shot for shot of what we've seen Mark Kerr in his actual ring match. So they recreated those shots. I don't know if they take. I think they've taken Dwayne's. Yeah, they took his tattoos off, but I don't know, man. He looks the part, and from the trailer, the acting that, like, and I could tell that this Mark Kerr went through some tough stuff
Yeah.
just by watching Dwayne act. It's like,
It's
man,
different.
it's different from anything else I've seen Dwayne do, and I've seen the Tooth Fairy.
Yeah. Not his worst, but not his best.
Well, but and then Emily Blunt also
Yep.
was awesome in those trailers. It's definitely got one of those uncut gems type relationships. It felt like, um, where she's just like kind of supporting him, but I don't know, she's just there.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know the actual story.
And I think that, I mean, it's going to be a hit, and I'm excited to see where he comes up, like how he continues this projection. Because at the end of the day, I feel like before it was like, let me establish myself, let me make my money. Now it's let me prove myself, which is not the way it usually goes. But I'm excited to see if he's got the skill, do it. So moving on, go ahead and get into our next segment here. Cillian Murphy and Daniel Craig talks to star in the next Damien Chazelle flick. So we recently reported on a potential Evel Knievel biopic from Whiplash director Damien Chazelle starring Leo DiCaprio, and that was in the works. And yeah, now, according to Empire, Chazelle has seemingly moved on from the project with his eyes on a genre-hopping prison drama, again, that's according to Empire, that could potentially star the two aforementioned talents. So other than this, nothing has been said about the plot points or whatever about this film, nor have I been able to find anything else talking about the Evel Knievel biopic just going away. I tried to find it and I couldn't. Other than this one reference in Empire, apparently it's gone. But it's being widely reported that these two are going to be in this film, as was the Evel Knievel film being widely reported months ago. So I'm not for sure what Chazelle's got going on. I don't know if one got shelved and for this one, I don't know if this one's just going to be after that one. I don't know because I've not been able to find anything. But
Do we know what Leo's up to?
no, I've not. I mean, I'm sure he's in something. He's Leo DiCaprio.
Well, no, I'm saying, like, you do have the Diddy trials going on.
Oh.
So you never know. You never know what Leo's got himself into, and that's why you can't do Evel Knievel, because that's who he was starring, right?
Yeah.
So you never know, and everybody likes to make fun that Leo doesn't date anybody under or over the age of 27, which doesn't help out at all.
Talk about this
dive
potential.
into that.
Change
but,
course.
like, I'm just saying, has anybody checked in on Leonardo, and maybe that's why we're not getting Evel Knievel?
What do we think about this one?
What do we think about this one?
Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we're here to talk about.
If you didn't know who they are or what they look like, on the very left, Cillian Murphy, Cillian Murphy, Daniel Craig, and Damien Chazelle. You might know Daniel Craig from Glass Onion, and Killian has done Peaky Blinders.
Yes, he was also Oppenheimer, as we referenced before.
Yep, and then 28 Days.
Yes, he was in the original.
So very awesome. Will, and Daniel Craig is James Bond,
Yeah.
007, and Damien Chazelle's done things like the drum movie. Now that
Whiplash.
hit it.
Whiplash.
Whiplash, among others. Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome, raving reviews. Like, so I look forward to seeing it. I just want to know what the whole deal with Evil Knievel is, but I'm not going to go.
This is also off of the last Damien Chazelle film, which was Babylon, which was very much so. It was a flop in theaters, but it was also like people loved it. So it's kind of like where do you kind of place him? He's wanting to. You want to have a kind of a launch pad to say, okay, look, like people like my films, but this last one wasn't the best, so we have to hit right. That's kind of where I feel like it is. Is like, okay, can you tell enough of a story with Evil Knievel, or is this upcoming whatever he called it, genre hopping prison drama? I know you have your theories.
What does genre hopping mean?
It's like, from what I understood, it could be like a comedy, but it also is dramatic, and it could also be maybe some elements of scary, like thriller in it. A thriller that's dramatic and laughs.
Funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Sharknado.
We're going to go ahead and move on. So we have, I guess this is the last thing I'll say about this. It is weird. You make a good point. It is weird. There's not a lot to say about this because we don't know a lot more other than this. But
Right.
whatever Chazelle comes out with, this is La La Land, this is Whiplash. I didn't think, like Babylon, I've not really seen, but I felt like it got a lot of hate for nothing. I heard it was weird. So, but anyway, we'll see. I'm excited for whatever the creator comes out with. We have a little treat for you guys. Again, this might be very loud. So I'm going to put this up so you could see. We're moving on to our trailers. I'm going to turn down the volume so that it's not going to blast your ears out. But we have teasers for the trailers that we've seen. We're going to show you just a couple seconds of each so that you can kind of have an understanding. But we're going to go through and we're going to talk about the ones that we're most excited about. So the biggest trailers that came out this past week were It, Welcome to Derry, Jurassic World Rebirth, Zootopia 2, which I'm terrified of, and we'll get into why, Caught Stealing from Darren Aronofsky, and Titan, the Ocean Gate Disaster, a Netflix documentary film. So we're going to go through and we're going to watch just a couple seconds of each of them, and then we're going to talk about them as we go on. So we're going to start.
If you come back to watch this episode, you might not find it because we got copyrighted. But we're going to
try
it
not
this
talk
time.
about it. So starting with just a few seconds, we're going to go 5 seconds of each. We're teetering the line here. So 1, Welcome to Derry.
No adult's ever gonna believe what we saw.
And that's where we'll stop. So we saw, please don't sue us, please. We saw going back, Pennywise, and we saw Skarsgård back in the suit. We saw the kids. This one was set 27 years before the first It film. So, and I think it goes back further than that too. So we have kind of the prequel.
He was around like a long time before.
Oh yeah, this is a guy that's been around for, like, I don't want to say hundreds, but it's been every 27 years we get another like event, a cataclysmic type of disaster, and kids going missing and people dying, and that's Pennywise. So that is our first one. What do we think?
I've actually seen it. I did not see the original back in, was it the 80s?
Oh yeah, with Tim Curry. That one, I think that one's better than the new ones. But
I've seen the new one, and I'm kind of like, I don't like horror movies, but like that one was pretty good. It did make me wonder. Actually, aren't there two?
Yeah,
I might
yeah.
have seen both.
Yeah,
I've seen both actually. I've seen the first one, and then they're older in the second one, so I have seen both, and it still was kind of like, just don't be scared. It's not hard. No, but I look for this is interesting because it's a TV show.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's a series on Max, which it can go through so many.
Not
more.
on Max.
HBO Max. I'm sorry.
Not on Max. It said HBO Max this summer, or Max becomes HBO Max this summer.
All the same in my mind.
I think
I'm
this is
excited.
going to be talked about. I think as many TV shows that are like popular in what uh, what is it, pulp, not Pulp Fiction,
Which
what
wait,
what
sorry,
is it,
what are you talking
pop
about?
culture.
Pop
Pop
culture. There you go.
culture,
Pulp
it's
Fiction.
popular in pop culture. As all the other ones are, I think this one will also hold up. Like Invincible, that one's super popular. um Other now I'm blanking on any others,
Well,
but
right now, like I just finished The Pit. That one's a big one. Yellow Jackets is big. White Lotus is big.
yeah,
Just
Black
recently,
Mirror.
Black Mirror just had a new season.
I don't know if Daredevil was up there, but I know that one was.
Yeah, earlier this year. Yeah, it'll
But
be
yeah,
there.
these TV shows, like they're big names. I think this one's gonna be one of them. Everybody's gonna really watch it because I remember the first movie anyway, was big talk. Everybody was talking about it.
Yeah.
So that's what I have to say about that. I look forward to it. I probably might even watch it because I have HBO.
Fancy. If
Mm,
we get Jake
mm.
watching a horror or anything, I'm excited to
With
hear
my
your
eyes
opinion.
shut.
Yeah. Speaking of the horror genre, this next one I'm particularly excited for. We're gonna give you a little sneak peek of
Zootopia.
no Jurassic World
It's
Rebirth. We're gonna talk
you're
about
scared.
yeah. We'll get to Zootopia. I know you're excited, Jake. But here is a 5-second quick peek at what I thought was pretty interesting from the latest trailer. So that's the one that me and Matt a couple weeks ago talked about. That creature that you saw that everyone's talking about. The goober that got caught behind the door is like, oh, let me out. I'd be doing the same thing.
I wish you could have gotten the actual monster because I didn't cut it properly. I actually pulled these and cut them, and I wish I had actually gotten it in the first 15 seconds. There
It's
is
scary.
a dinosaur shown,
Yeah.
and he looks like a beluga whale. He's got a big old forehead.
Yeah, you
I
got.
thought you were talking about the dinosaur was the goober because I was about to agree with you that that thing does look like a goober.
He is a goober, but he's
Got
terrifying.
like a chrome dome. Dude, it's crazy. Like it's a T-Rex, but like imagine a hardened beluga forehead on the top of him.
I will say
I'm actually gonna open this up, screenshot it, and then give it to Ryan to show you guys.
it got my heart pumping, but I will tell you, it did make me laugh a little bit because like in the trailer or like the guy who's like begging, like, please, for those our audio listeners, he just gets calmly picked up. He doesn't like get like snatched. In the trailer,
Right.
the thing just slightly wraps his hands around him and just slowly picks him up, and he's like, oh, and like so. I would be doing the same thing, but it is kind of silly looking.
So it actually kind of reminds me of the Cloverfield monster.
He's
I
yeah,
wrong?
yeah.
You see that forehead?
He's shiny.
So there you go, guys. If you're watching, we try to give you visuals on both Spotify and YouTube. So if you're not driving, look at your phone. You'll see us. There you go. There's a dinosaur. Have fun with that.
Yeah. I will say this because we have to get going. I'm excited. It got my blood pumping. I like everything about the story. I think it's unique. I think it's back to Jurassic Park, but it's also like it still keeps the scary aspects like, and it's ramping them up. I love the new dinosaurs. I think that thing is terrifying. I think his dome does look kind of goofy, but like
There's got to be a reason for it.
yeah, right. So like
They're gonna be like, oh, he has sonar. Or
brother can
something.
hear everything. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
you
I mean,
breathe.
he has Wi-Fi.
Yeah, he is so just knowledgeable about everything.
He's connected to the internet.
He knows Skibidi Toilet. That's what he knows.
That's why he's so angry.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Our third little teaser here is the couple seconds from begrudgingly Zootopia 2. And that's where we'll stop.
Oh,
I'll tell you why that film makes me nervous is because the internet is a nasty place. And they were not kind to the first Zootopia.
okay. What part of the internet you on, Ryan?
What part of the internet are you not on, Jake? Tell me you didn't see this, because I know for a
I have
fact
no
you
idea
did.
what you're talking
The
about.
fact that you are as chronically online as you are, you know exactly. Look at that face. You're lying to me right now. I know for a
Dude,
fact
I
you know
don't
what I'm
know.
talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
People objectified Judy Hopps terribly, and
Really?
it was gross. Yes. So
People that you follow.
no, not people that I follow. Stop this. And that is why I was scared to add it into this segment, because but you have to talk about it because it's gonna be a major
I enjoyed
success.
Zootopia outside of everything that Ryan subscribes to. I thought it was a great movie and story. I enjoyed it. I thought because it had me questioning. I love a good detective story. Like that's just like I enjoy, and that one caught me. Like I didn't know. I didn't think it was going to be who it was. And I'm not even going to spoil it because I think it's that good. I usually spoil things, guys. Listeners at home, you know, I spoil things every single time we have a podcast, but this one I think it's worth a watch because I didn't notice it, and I'm not going to pat myself on the back. I sometimes do figure it out beforehand,
Yeah.
but I think this is another one because, like, number one, why are the cops after him? That's got to allude to something. We've got a lot of the same faces. We even, I'm not going to tell you which one, but we even see one that was the antagonist. So reprising the antagonist role, but like a new story, and like the music itself was like a not like ramping up, but it was like one of those. I don't know how to describe it, but it sounds questioning. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
word that I would use. Questioning. It just sounded like there's a question to be
Like who
answered.
done it?
Yeah, who done it? That was the music itself. Just made me think that like they're gonna be looking for somebody who did something, and
Yeah.
then they were framed or something because the police are after them. Like that's the whole trailer, is the police are after them. And then she does the air horn, and there's like a weird dance scene. There's like an animal dressed up as Darth Vader at like a rave or something. They're just like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then it cuts to like the snappy images of all the characters that are going to be in it. And I'm not like super excited for it, but like it is intriguing that we've got another Zootopia level mystery to
Yeah.
solve.
Let it just be a kids movie is what I say, because I did also love the first Utopia, but not what the internet loved about it, and it made me uncomfortable. And Jake, if you say, Emily, do you want to come back? Do you want to co-host again? Jake's being mean. Anyway,
She's just gonna back me up.
no. Anyway, we'll go ahead and move on. The next one we have, which is rather interesting for me, we have Caught Stealing, a sneak peek at the next Darren Aronofsky film.
Oi! What the fuck are you doing, geezer? Is that the best you can do? I've got to fly back to London. I need you to take care of my cat.
I like cats.
What's the big man?
And that's where I'll stop it, because it does get very
Man.
interesting after that. But
I wish I cut it differently. Every single one of these, I wish I cut it differently because there's so much more that it's awesome.
fair
And-
use only goes so far, and I'm not trying to
well,
test
yeah,
it.
yeah. The thing is like the way that I have cut these 20 to 30 seconds is actually not how the trailer goes at all. I've actually, because both of us are film majors and know how to edit video. Even what you saw with the It trailer, that's not what happened in the trailer.
Yeah.
I did that.
It's in order.
Do what?
You put it in order.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually tried to tell the story within 20 to 30 seconds of the caught stealing movie, but Ryan cut out all of the funny parts.
I'm sorry.
Through the-
I had to
no.
know. Legal. Anyway,
So that
let me
is that is a doctor that we saw with a mohawk, right? You know his real name. I do not.
anyone who knows me knows that I love Doctor Who. Emily is also a Doctor Who fan, as she's shaking her head down there. That is Matt Smith. That is the 11th Doctor,
Okay.
and he is so out of place with a mohawk and him being a. And I like
So
yeah.
we see Austin Butler hit Matt Smith in the head with a baseball bat, and it was quite comical.
It's pretty funny.
And he calls him a twat. And
He's so
I wish you guys
painfully
could see it.
British.
Yeah, so go watch this trailer
Yeah.
to see that. It's an awesome trailer. I hope it's not like a shoot 'em up action thing. I hope there's actually some story to it. But
I'm excited.
yeah.
It just seems so human, and it just seems like
Of
I
the
love those
ones-
stories.
of all of these today, that one is probably our favorite to go see.
Agreed. And finally, because there's not really a lot of story about it other than like Matt Smith gets Austin Butler in trouble with some like crime families and he's running for them and it's called Caught
Yeah,
Stealing. So
it's
that's
the
that's
Puerto Ricans, the Hebrews,
yeah.
the Russians, and it's
Yeah.
so funny to be like because there's these Jewish guys shooting up
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
wedding or a bat mitzvah or something.
Yeah. It's so random, but it also looks it's so funny, but it also looks very engaging. So the last bit of trailer we're going to show you today is from the Ocean Gate documentary at Netflix. So here you go with that.
There was no way of knowing when Title was going to fail, but it was a mathematical certainty that it would fail.
And that's where we'll stop it. So, as we kind of spoiled already, Caught Stealing is both of our favorites. But other than that one, is there one in particular on here that really kind of gets you going?
I can see myself like definitely pulling up the Ocean Gate, documentary one of these nights if I'm cooking or the girlfriend's over. That's just something that like you can watch in passing. You don't necessarily have to be enveloped, right? It's a Netflix documentary, even though it's super high profile.
Yeah.
But it's definitely one of those ones that I just turn on for background and listen to it to hear any facts that I don't already know, because this was a high profile. I mean, this is reported on, like a whole lot about it already.
Yeah.
If you just had your ear anywhere near the ground underneath your rock. But in terms of the other ones, I mean, Zootopia, if I can get my hands on it, I'm not going to go see it in theaters, but like, I'll probably turn it on eventually. One of these days, I'll be like sitting on the couch, like, what in the heck am I going to watch? And then, hey,
Zootopia.
Zootopia. And then, like I said, I can pull that up anytime I want, as long as HBO carries it. The only one that I'm probably not actively going to seek out is Jurassic World.
So there's a clip in the Ocean Gate that Netflix released, and it's of the wife of the dude who was like running Ocean Gate, and she hears the pop, and that is the thing, the hull busting open and all the pressure releasing and the ship exploding. She hears it, and in the moment, not knowing what it was, she on camera goes, "What was that?" And that is so morbid. So I agree. Titan, the Ocean Gate disaster is one that's on top of my list. But also, I'm the exact opposite. Outside of Caught Stealing, Jurassic World Rebirth is right there. And I will tell you, there's a popcorn bucket, and it's of like a baby dinosaur in like what looks like gel. It's not gel. It doesn't move. But yeah, you guys know I like a good popcorn bucket. I'm trying to contact Jeff Bezos about my 007 popcorn bucket idea, which we'll see. Well, no, not that.
Dude, I'm saying.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Nope. Butter. But we'll go ahead, and this is our last segment of the show before we move on. We've had you here for a while now. We have some key details surrounding, as promised, we have updates about the 78th annual Cannes Film Festival over in France. The Palme d'Or, or the best filmmaker, goes to Iranian filmmaker Jafar Panahi for his feature film, It Was Just an Accident. So the film follows 5 characters who all seek revenge against a certain prosecutor who tortured them following their individual arrests. However, due to them each being blindfolded, none of them can be sure if they actually have the right prosecutor. So, the film is inspired directly by Panahi's own experience after he was convicted in Iran in 2010 for, quote, propaganda against the machine. So, this was all due to his activism within his films. Despite his arrest and legal obligation against filmmaking, the artist kept true to himself, sneaking out films on flash drives and hard drives while incarcerated, including films that made it to Cannes film festivals.
So how is he filming? And
I actually saw, I think it's with his phone. I actually saw like some of these clips from it, and because the guy's like he's not supposed to even have a device that can record, but they made an exception for a phone, and it happened to have a camera on it. And he made he made documentaries with that and sent it in, and it got shown around the world. He eventually got released, and a lot of what's happened here is it's vindication. I mean, it is everything this man has been fighting for. So I'm when I was reading this, and like I want to watch the film, I'm excited, and I could not be happier for this guy for everything he's been through. With this win, this is Neon Pictures' 6th straight Palme d'Or. That's craziness. Neon Pictures, it's growing. That was the film company that just last week signed Osgood Perkins, the creator of Long Legs and The Monkey. This is the same company that signed him to a long-term deal, distribution rights deal. They have had the rights to the last 6 Palme d'Or winners, which is a massive undertaking. So congrats to them, the indie outlet. I think they're American, but they do a lot of overseas stuff. So fantastic for them. Other details, despite winning last year's major award with Anora, which was again a Neon Pictures film, American films were blanked completely. Not one American film won an award this year, meaning films like Wes Anderson's The Phoenician Scheme, Ari Aster's Eddington, both missed out on awards, amongst others. They all missed out on anything. Anderson's film had a 7.5-minute standing ovation. Still didn't
I'm
win.
excited. I
Yeah.
love Wes Anderson stuff.
Yeah.
This one's gonna be good because they're saying Michael Cera is like
Perfect.
untapped potential that
Yeah.
Wes Anderson hasn't even tapped yet.
Why?
And
Why now? Why did he wait? Like, why did he wait?
I mean, Michael. I don't know what Michael's schedule looks like.
Brother, you think Michael Cera's busy? I don't mean to say that.
He's doing super bad too.
Okay, I disagree, but that's okay. Anyway, any other thoughts? I know, like, I could go through the winners, but we're already at 2 hours, and I don't want to hold our people any longer. Any thoughts about any of the winners that I have listed here? I have the link to that list up above. About anything I've said or anything you just want to tell people before we let them go.
Why don't we bring Emily in? Yeah, she's a good one. To
I
pass
actually
this on
thought
to.
about. So Emily, you comfortable to come back?
Yeah, give the audience a.
All right, she's
Something to
stepping
look
up
at.
here. I'm gonna go ahead. Okay, cool. There she is.
As long as I don't bother you with my humming noises over here. So.
I'm bothered.
All right, I'll see you guys later. I'm joking. I am just personally shocked that you choose Zootopia over Jurassic stuff.
I have, for everybody at home, I mean, you know that like Kung Fu Panda, like the original, all the like the animated Pixar's growing up, like I know a lot about those. Whereas Ryan's like, oh yeah, you remember that like one live action film? Or it's like, nope, I haven't seen it. But I have seen all the Kung Fu Panda movies, and I know exactly what happens in them.
Wild to me. But you have fun with Zootopia.
I will.
Are there any of those
Ryan's
films?
gonna have more fun.
Are there
Yeah.
any of those films that we talked about above that we showed a sneak peek in the trailer that you're super excited for?
I'm super excited for the I want to get the name right. The Ocean Gate documentary. Big documentary fan. Also largely disagree that the documentaries are just something you can have playing on in the background because you'll lose the whole story. Because they
I know
set
the
up,
story.
like,
It
all
blew
like
up.
okay.
It imploded. It didn't blow up. It went inward. It imploded.
Yeah. But anyways, that's something I'm very much looking forward to. That and the Jurassic World Rebirth. The other ones, sorry, I love Matt Smith. I probably won't be that interested in.
That's okay.
You
I
know.
think I'm
Go ahead.
excited. So
Not even to get hit by a baseball bat in the head.
you twat. Anyway,
Yep.
any final words for our people at home? From anybody?
I have none.
And the blank stares tell me it's time for us to go home. So thank you guys
tired,
so
Ryan.
much.
Let me go
Thank you
home.
guys so much for being here from the bottom of my heart. I thank these two lovely, lovely people for making this happen. I could not do it without either one of them. I'm excited for Emily to get rolling because the things that I wish you guys could see what we're talking about and what we're working on, because Emily she's a professional to the extreme and she's got a lot of really good ideas. And Jake, without him, this doesn't exist. So he is the engine that keeps us humming, man. So I thank both of you guys. I thank you guys at home. Again, as always, I'm a sap and I will always be super thankful. But sticking around 2 hours is crazy to me. So we'll see you guys next week with another exciting edition. And if there's anything you want us to specifically talk about, comment, reach out to one of us, and we will happily throw it in. All right, we'll see you guys later.